All right, welcome everyone. It looks like we are live. This is episode 7 of the daily stream. We have a good session planned for everyone today. I'm just going to work on sharing this link over to the group, and then we can get going. Wait for a couple of you guys to trickle in here, and then we'll start it off with Bitcoin and look at a few different things today. All right, nice. We got about 3 people in here. I'm sure more will join. It looks like we got a good number of people online. I want to start off and say welcome to a couple of the new guys who just joined today. Who did we have join? You know what? I can't even find them in the member list. There's so many of you guys online, which is really cool to see. About 40 of you. So welcome if this is your first stream. I do this every single day, and we typically cover Bitcoin, go over just some recent news that's going on, and then also look at different alt setups or trades that I'm in personally, and then do some outlook going forward. So that's the daily stream, and then on Wednesdays and Saturdays, we do a more technical, either technical analysis or a trading strategies kind of training session for people who are really looking for an educational base. So this is just a daily stream. We're going to start off with Bitcoin. I'm going to get rid of these crazy lines. I was just trying to figure out what was going on this kind of shorter time frame. But we're going to start zoomed out. I'm going to minimize some of these fibs. It's looking a little bit messy. But overall, it's been fascinating for me. I woke up and I was really expecting a little bit of a steeper correction already. Bitcoin is being really resilient right now, and I'm going to leave this smaller channel I kind of have built. I think you can see the bigger picture. But Bitcoin is still hanging on, right at the top of the channel here, guys. This is pretty interesting to see. Still fairly overbought. It just crossed back across this overbought line. But I mean, hanging right up there at the top of this resistance. So even with that incentive gone for Bitcoin holders to continue holding to receive the 2x tokens, it looks like they're still comfortable. A lot of people still holding or at least kind of supporting and buying even at these prices, keeping price up here. So I was expecting a little bit of a sharper correction already. It looks like we're still hanging. We are zooming in a little bit more after this massive spike with the fork. We are still hanging below this channel resistance, which I expect to continue. I kind of outlined this I tweeted this out as well and shared it into the Bitcoin trend analysis. But I added a new shorter time frame channel, just a basic support and resistance going off the last night's stream. I kind of covered what I look for in these support and resistance lines, connecting from wicks, making sure I'm drawing this objectively and not trying to, find some kind of breakout to the bottom or something like that. I'm connecting the first point to the next point, trying to keep it, as objective and kind of factual, I guess you could say, as possible. I don't want to paint a picture. I want to see what's going on and then make my decisions based off that. So we are hanging right around the bottom of this channel now. It's going to be interesting to see if that holds. I'm going to bring this fib back from the fade. It looks like For those of you guys who have been tuning in for the last week or so, this fib, the 6950 to 7K range, kind of came in pretty clutch twice on these last two dips. So if this shorter term channel does break, that's where I'm going to be watching for the next support. Once we break there, I think it could definitely head lower, something around 66 or 6,700, and that kind of matches up with the longer term fibs as well. So this is what I'm going to be watching on Bitcoin. Still expecting a correction, but I mean it's wild that it's kind of hanging right around there. I think there's a kind of a bigger there's a few really massive factors at play here. So, you know, the futures coming out on the CME next month, that's massively bullish. I think that's helping keep the Bitcoin price stable at these higher prices. You know, overall, it's just massively bullish. More institutional guys are going to get in and be able to hedge their risk with futures. You know, a lot of fresh money coming in. There's 100,000 new Coinbase accounts every single day, and that's only growing. You know, it's always a bullish fundamental picture for Bitcoin. I was just expecting a correction, but it looks like it's going to hang here, and we'll keep watching. Kind of going right off that, over the last, you know, yesterday and also the last couple of days, I've been very transparent in my strategy in that, you know, up at the top of this channel is when I look to either move to fiat or move to alts if you want to play that game, to try to earn more Bitcoin. You know, yesterday I was kind of telling you not to panic and you're not going to miss everything, and you're kind of seeing that happen. There's definitely some alts that are already moving here, and I'll go through some of the alts as well. I mean, it's looking really green across the board, but there is even some setups. I gave a setup last night in Zcash or it's Zcash, and a couple of the other setups are just starting to move. So I mean, even today, I don't think it's too late. I think this is something that's going to play out over days and weeks. And I said this in the portfolio strategy channel. You know, you don't have to be, you know, it does pay to position yourself early and to be quick, but you don't have to go kicking yourself if you haven't, you know, built in entirely with the positions that you want. I think there's still opportunity there. I think this is going to be a theme that's going to play out for the next days or weeks. I don't see a lot of ammo to really pump Bitcoin too much higher, even if it stays in this range. What I'm kind of saying is that money is now free to flow out of here and into an alt pair. So even if Bitcoin does hang around up here and we don't see the massive kind of correction that I was expecting or a bigger dip or anything like that, I mean, it could really ride up here. I mean, what it reminds me of, honestly, is you know, we had a really nice move in alts right around this range the last time we hit the channel, but I mean, back here too, it's, you know, it hits the channel sometimes in dips and rises, and this is when alts, most alts peaked is around this range, or 613 to 615. So in that first big correction, but alts were still doing really well, guys, as Bitcoin was rising and kind of hanging around the top of this channel. So I think we're seeing that right now. They're starting to take off. You know, if it does give us a little bit of a bigger correction, this is when we saw alts really move, was this correction and this correction off the channel. So that's what we're looking for. You know, those are going to be the massive moves. But right now we're seeing some preliminary, some really good moves already, just on all those setups that I've been sharing with you guys. I actually think every single one is in the green. But I mean, you could really throw darts at a board right now and you'd probably be up. So yeah, that's kind of what I see. So, you know, regardless of whether we see the dip, I think they're going to keep doing well. I don't think you're too late. I think there's definitely still some money to be made. You know, risk management is still important. I'm still not going to, you know, I'm still going to be following my strategy of holding 1 to 4 or 5 at most kind of alts. I think it's a little bit tough to manage more than that, at least for me it is. I kind of find that I'm just really not able to keep up with all the setups and really maximize and manage the positions appropriately if I do more than that. So yeah, that's where I'm at. And those positions are, you know, 5 or 10% of my portfolio. 10% would be a really big position in one alt for me. So that's just my approach, guys. I'm still using, you know, I think what having a systematic strategy and your timing You know, it's helping already. It kind of helped, you know, people thought I was a little bit crazy maybe saying this mid-October, but you know, it's already proving to pay off. You know, looking at valuations and using it as a tool to determine when to scale in and out of Bitcoin or in and out of alts, and what your allocation should be, and going forward it's going to be no different. I'm going to continue to follow the strategy. You're welcome to follow it as well. I'm going to keep revising it, but I think it's something that it doesn't get covered enough. I don't even you know, I don't think a lot of people understand why alts are back, or what alt season means, or why different sectors outperform at different times. So kind of having this as a guide, I think, is massive, and it's really what drives. It's kind of how I create alpha in this whole asset class. So if you're new, I refer to this channel a lot. This is my bread and butter. Use it as a timing mechanism, and I'll continue to touch on it. So if you're a little bit lost, it's all right. We'll continue to go over it. So that's the Bitcoin overview. A little bit of the fork cancellation aftermath is what I'm calling it. Alts, I believe, are still going to be around, still going to keep doing well, outperforming Bitcoin, I expect, in the next days, maybe weeks. We will see. And yeah, one other thing that I want to mention just about Bitcoin. I know someone, where was it? It was someone was talking about a rogue fork possibly happening. Is it Charlie Shrim? I don't know if we're going to find it. Anyways, someone mentioned that you know, some portion of the miners were still going to try to make 2x happen. I'm not giving too much weight to that. Even if they do, you know, it's really you know, just kind of fuels, I think, more potential for a dip or a sell-off. You know, it's kind of like 2x, but with no reward now, because the futures price is going to be so much lower. You know, the big names aren't supporting it anymore. I'm not paying too much attention to this rogue fork theory. Anyways, that's Bitcoin. Moving right along to alts, which I think is kind of the focal point of the group right now. Seems a lot of guys are wanting to get into alts. Checking on one message I'm getting here. All right, sorry, I got a little sidetracked there. Looking at Neo first. This was one of the new setups I gave in the trade ideas today. Where is it at? Hiding from me. So there's a few coins that were right along their kind of 78% fib level. If you're a little bit lost in the fib levels I'm using, please refer back to the first TA session. It's in the video library. But at the 78% fib level, I'm going to clean this up as well so we can kind of see what we're even looking at. Litecoin was right around here. OMG was around here. Metal was around here. So in this last Bitcoin run up, it pushed a lot of coins to the 78% fib retrace of their kind of bigger or larger or longer term trends. The final Bitcoin push kind of jabbed it through. I didn't like buying down here. You know, hindsight, this would have been a great buy. I just wasn't comfortable. It was kind of in a no man's range. I didn't know if it was going to drop, you know, way lower to this next support. Now that it is back above and kind of right along this fib level, it broke through, and now it's using it as support. Reminds me of Bcash, which I'll look at the very end of the episode. But we're breaking through, small retrace in this buy zone. I took this trade several times in not the last month, maybe in September it looks like, and then one time also in October. But every single time it was along this 78% fib, I was buying pretty much. So usually the target was this next fib up, which is like a 42% gain. I remember in mid-October, we weren't able to get that high. I think I was taking profits around this 20 or 25% range, and that's where I have the first alert. So if you are taking this trade, this is the kind of area that I've been taking profits recently. I think if the altcoin kind of bullish bigger cycle plays out and you just want to be building positions and not really trading so much, I think this is a great place to build a position. I think NEO fundamentally and kind of big picture is going to continue to steal market share from Ethereum, especially if Ethereum keeps having troubles with wallets and stuff. So that's the NEO setup I was looking at. I really like this one, guys. So I know a couple guys in the group already took it. So you know, it's up to you to manage the positions. I'll try to give updates as much as I can. You know, I'm just sharing my ideas and kind of giving you some insight into how I look for opportunity in the market. So, you know, hopefully, you know, being completely honest, I love having you guys in the group. You know, I do make a little bit of money off of it, but at the end of the day, you know, I want to be teaching you and kind of showing you my process, so you know you are able to do this on your own. You understand why I think this is a good trade, or you're able to use these tools. You know, I don't want to be a crutch like I think a lot of other kind of services or people try to be just by giving signals. So I want to be completely transparent, show you what I'm looking at, show you the setup. That's more important to me than making you money. You might just want me to make you money, and I'll try to do that as well. But in complete honesty, guys, what matters more to me is kind of explaining my thought process, my rationale. So I hope this trade works out. I'm going to be taking it. You know, at the end of the day, I try to follow my system. I think over time that gives me an edge, and yeah, sorry, I got sidetracked. Asleep tea. Thank you for the tweet. Yeah, I'll pull it up. It was Tur. So Tur's a great follow on Twitter if you guys aren't already following him. He has a lot of really cool info that he puts out. But it looks like this kind of rogue email came out after. These weren't signed with a PGP code. Either was the announcement for the cancellation of the 2x, which I thought was interesting, but we're carrying out the fork regardless. Everything's set in motion. Backing down the difficulty right now is a strategy. Wonder why 30% network hash rate disappeared. It's ours, the miners, that will continue what is set in motion. A handful of humans cannot stop what they have no control over. That last line is interesting. Anyways, I'm not putting too much weight into it. Regardless, you know, like I said, I think it's really just more fuel for a correction, if anything. NEO setup. What do I have next here on the list? We have Zcoin, so XZC. I'm trying to get better at narrating this for you guys. I know a couple people actually commented that they were listening to this in the form of a podcast or listening to on their way to work. So I'm going to try to explain things and make sure I kind of announce coins and guide you through it, even if you aren't able to have the visual guide as well. So I might kind of repeat myself sometimes, but I'm trying to help those people out. So Zcoin is really interesting. This is a setup I gave. We were towards the lower side of this descending wedge. I didn't want to play it until it got down to the support. It started moving already, and covering this with you guys live. This is my first time seeing it. We have a breakout. I wanted to play the breakout. For those of you who didn't get in, I think a couple of you guys are already in. I gave you my reasons why I like this coin. Z-nodes should be coming out at the end of the month. I think I posted an article in the alt trade ideas of an interview. Let me scroll up and find it real quick. I posted an interview of a member of the Zcoin team. Here it is. And he kind of said that they were going to wait to announce, you know, some good news, some more information about Z nodes as well, which are Zcoin master nodes. And that was all going to come out after the fork. Looks like it was an interview with Ruben Yap, Community and Communications Manager of Zcoin. So that's why I liked this coin. I was looking at that player. They also just got added to Binance. So while that's not the biggest exchange, I think it's the 10th biggest by volume. Added liquidity is always good for these coins, and it's had a really nice correlation and also causation, I believe, for increased price. I mean, it's easier for people to buy it. It's, you know, not everyone has an account with every single exchange. I personally don't have an account with every single exchange. So I mean, it's always opening up the coin to new buyers and new sellers as well. But I think you know, access to more capital is usually a bullish thing for these coins. So for the Z nodes, let's see what he said. Z nodes are similar to a masternode system as implemented by Dash. Specific timeline, nothing yet. We're finalizing calculations and economic considerations and discussions. Once that's compiled, we'll announce it, but we'll time it so as to not be drowned out by SegWit 2x news. So I clued in on this, and to me that meant that they were going to announce at the end of November. Now that SegWit 2x isn't happening, you know, Z nodes are really primed to go live. It looks like the only reason they were holding them back was for 2x. They didn't want to get drowned out. So that announcement could come any minute. That actually might be why it's kind of pumping. I'm going to take a look on Twitter. Zcoin official. I don't see any news here other than they got added to Binance. Yeah, so something to watch. I think you could definitely enter on the breakout. I'm usually not a breakout guy. You guys will see my strategy. I like the technical kind of support and more value setups and kind of waiting. I'm just more of a conservative or defensive trader. But if you did want to play this, or you wanted a more conservative way to play this, I think one way to do that is we might get a retrace. Looks like it's already happening, especially off this second peak. So we might get something like this. Or, you know, it could even come a little bit lower to this, or I mean, it might fall all the way back through. So if it were to fall back through this rising wedge, if Bitcoin for any reason pumps, you're going to see a lot of these alts kind of retrace a little bit, or if this is a fake breakout. Buying down here would be great, but you know, if it only gives you this retrace just to the falling wedge kind of resistance, and it uses this as support, I think this is a great trade to take it up. The first kind of target range I have, it's a pretty big range. I'm going to shorten it up. Is 32K to, you know, up in this 38K range, depending on how often or how risky or how, you know, bullish you are long term. I'm pretty massively bullish. And like I said earlier, and I'm going to repeat this in all my setups and trades, you know, if you are just an investor and you're just looking to build a portfolio, and you want to kind of take that route, there's no need to exit the coins completely here. I actually don't like exiting coins completely, really, ever. You know, you can, for some positions I do, just because I'm a more active trader, but I'm well aware that you guys, or some of you guys, can't, you know, trade this stuff all day long, or you know, you just simply don't have the time. So that's kind of where I come in and help you out. You can really just use me as, you know, entries or bigger picture, you know, how to move in and out of altcoins and stuff. So perfectly okay to take a couple profits here, or to wait until we get to this, you know, all-time high range, or if you just want to build a position and hold it, that's fine too. But I like it. Good sign that it's breaking out. Z nodes to come and more liquidity coming soon. That's Zcoin for you. What else do we have? I wanted to take a look at metal. This thing is back from the dead. Right along this one's along that 78% fib as well. Another one that I was talking about. I added this longer term support, which I thought was interesting, coming from this peak low. Get rid of this trend line. You can actually see the candles. Coming from this peak low that we had way back in July, and I drew it along here. Price respected it after it fell through this fib. So if you guys were in the group early, we played a bounce one of these days. This was when one of the early founders kind of pulled his capital out, and you saw this stuff really drop like a rock. And we played a small bounce. This is when I probably first introduced a couple of you guys to fibs. A couple guys got a 10 or a 20%, really small trade, but it was nice to be making money when all alts were going down. I didn't like buying it. Similar to Neo, it fell through this level. I didn't know where the new bottom would be. It looks like this longer term support came through, which I didn't even recognize, but now I added it in. It might be helpful in the future. Just trying to touch on basic support and resistance for those of you who are kind of trying to add it to your game or getting new to charting. I just took, like I said, I always like to have the highs and the all-time lows, just give me a guide of where we're at. Just took the low of this candle, connected it to the next low, and extended that line out. And it looks like the market is also looking at this line too. So we did just breach this 78% fib level again. This is one of those coins similar to Neo, which I don't think is taken off yet, especially relative to some of these gainers. Some are really moving, some are kind of barely moving. I think this might have been overreaction. One founder pulling out his money or selling, a significant share. It might be a lack of confidence kind of in the project. There might be, a little bit of concern, a little bit of risk here, but I think this might be an overreaction. So I think this is a good play too. I haven't posted this one in the group yet. So if you're watching this, this might be a good play. A coin that kind of hasn't taken off yet. First target here. I'm going to kind of set my targets next fib levels up. You guys know how often I use the fibs. So these are kind of the targets moving up 50% up here at this range, and then all the way up at 0.001 Bitcoin, which would be a 2x on this coin. So we'll see how long this alt cycle lasts, how many of these targets we can hit. I'm going to keep monitoring them. I'm going to set an alert up here at this first target. But yeah, I think metal is another one that might take off, and it still really hasn't moved. So play the retrace here if you want to be a little bit more conservative. Entry around 75,000 sats looks okay. So I like this coin. If you want to be uber conservative, you might not get filled down here, but if you want to wait for it to touch this longer term or all-time low support, somewhere in the 69 to 66K range, I think would also be good. I had a couple more alts I wanted to cover: Zcash and Bcash. Zcash, where are we at? So this is one I gave as a little, I don't want to say a gift, but I kind of caught it just as I was streaming last night. I did that stream extra late just because yesterday was such a long day with that fork nonsense. So ended up doing the session late. I just wanted to stay on track, and I found something, so I wanted to share it with those who are watching. I think there's only two or three actually watching live, and it looks like a couple guys caught it in the morning. But I noticed Zcoin or Zcash, they all have Z's in them. Broke out of this resistance. This resistance started back. Oh, another one of these coins that kind of had this pop in late November, mid-November, late November. So broke out of this resistance. What was a positive sign for me, because I don't always think a breakout of resistance necessarily as a good thing. I think sometimes it's just, the sellers are kind of running out of steam. I don't always think it's massively bullish. What I like to see was that it broke out, came back down, tested this resistance now, and is now using it as support. Not a rectangle, we need a ellipse. Using it as support for the next move up. So I think last night it was around this range. It's already kind of moving up, I think about 10 or 15%. Retracing again. Someone was asking if this is still a good trade. Let's see who that was. Altcoin discussion. David Rocca. So yeah, David, I think this is still a good trade. I like privacy coins. I like the whole sector. I think they're going to continue to outperform kind of crypto as a whole. This is one of the sectors, I've given my sectors before, and I like to think about coins like this because I'm more of a macro thinker and a big picture guy. There's a few sectors that have massive utility now, and there's a couple sectors or coins that are relying pretty much only on their future utility or potential utility. And I think privacy coins is I mean, massive use case now. I think a lot of people as this, institutional kind of use cases are here for banks or for extremely wealthy, high net worth or high net worth individuals are going to want to hide some wealth for legal or illegal reasons. Banks, I can see a use case of them wanting to make investments and they don't want to see other people in the industry, knowing where they're taking positions. I think that's a nice use case. A lot of things. I mean, even me, I just kind of having my face out there and having a Twitter account and different people in the industry. I know that some of us are even a little bit worried in people hacking your accounts and stuff. So I would like a little bit of privacy even in my own transactions. So I think a massive use case there. I think this stuff's going to grow really big, so that always just helps the conviction when there's a good fundamental perspective going on. Even if it's something big picture like that, it doesn't always have to be some really specific catalyst happening on November 15th. Sometimes it can just be, I like privacy coins. If I like to set up even a little bit, I might just take it, and it might give me enough conviction to kind of let this position run. So those are my thoughts. If you are looking to play a little dip here, I think we could see a dip somewhere in this. I think I told David this 30.034, 0.035. I'm just getting that based on this. Change these colors here. So just adding a couple horizontal rays of where I've seen really recent or kind of local support and resistance. Just some levels I'm looking at. I don't give these things a lot of weight, but they are different levels that you can maybe get an order filled at. Just kind of a rough area, and so you don't have to FOMO in up here or something like that. I think an entry anywhere in this range, maybe below 0.0355, and then try to ride it up to at least this 0.044. I think that's when we see our first kind of bigger resistance. And then past that, I mean, it could be like 0.08. So with all these, it's going to be interesting to see how long this alt kind of boom lasts. I'm going to keep you guys updated, but those are the first or initial targets for me on that setup. One of the last ones we have Bcash, getting over 30 minutes. I try to keep these short for you guys. Bcash, where you at? Okay, nice. So this is a setup I gave heading into the fork. Interesting dynamic here. Ari Paul, who I follow on Twitter, was describing it as the most interesting poker game he's ever played. There's so many forces at play here. These miners, these forks, banks, different regulations and everything coming in, new protocols. Bcash, its dynamic with Bitcoin is super interesting too. I think someone in the group was talking about it as, or pretty much saying it's just a better Litecoin. I gave the setup back here. We were looking for a breakout and never really got it above this. We never could breach this last peak right here at 0.093, and it kind of moved back down. I didn't like an entry in here. It seemed ugly to me. I didn't know if we were going to fall all the way back to 0.06, but I wanted to keep my eye on it because we're seeing this kind of really big interest here. So there's someone's buying big. I'm not sure why or kind of what the big picture is or understand everything going on here, but I know there's interest, and this Bcash might kind of have a resurrection. I think some people aren't giving it enough of a chance and kind of seeing how big it could be. So regardless of the tribalism, regardless, I know some people hate it. When I tweeted this, I got more hate on this than I did on tweeting about Ripple. So that gives me an indication. I know a lot of people don't like it, but that kind of doesn't matter when there's this much volume and it's breaking out. So I don't mind holding a coin if the community doesn't like it. If it's earning me more Bitcoin, I'm happy to play it. On the breakout, people were asking if we should buy now. I kind of said play something like this. Where are we at? Alt trade updates. I kind of said play it. We're up in this range. I wanted to see a bounce off this red, and it's just TA. It's really nice when it works out like that. I hope it now stays above this red line, but it bounced perfectly on the red line. Looks like it's moving higher. We obviously want to see it cross above this 0.095 level. Pretty big sell walls, but I'm not sure how much weight we can really put to any of these buy walls or order books here. I don't know if you want to say they're manipulated, but people do this in every single market. There's liquidity providing, kind of trading desks or bots or whatever you want to call them that are putting these there for different reasons. So whether they're legit or fake, I want to see it cross above this 0.095 level. If it does, first target I have set, this is just an old horizontal resistance. It's one of the rare charts where I don't have any fibs drawn, just not a lot of price history, so I couldn't really get a good fib going. There's also hasn't really been a clear trend either. We've just kind of been in this range. So we have this low point of the range, and we have this high point of the range, which I'm going to label red. And give the rest of these white and make the bottom green, just to stay consistent here. But this first kind of target I have is the 0.115. I know a lot of people have an eye on 0.1. There are some psychological reasons people might be looking at 0.1, but I haven't seen it historically really as a big support and resistance. I think 0.119 or kind of this area was used a little bit more back in here. So 0.1 might, psychological reasons might be big. I see more resistance here, and then even more at the 0.14 range. So those are the two levels that I'm looking at. I like Bcash. Like I said, I don't fully understand why, and sometimes you don't even need to. You just know that there's really big volume, and there's someone backing it, and I know that I don't think anyone can really know what the whole dynamic is yet with 2x and with Bcash and with hash power and how everything's going to go. So something to watch, not advice, just giving you my setup and my thought process and being transparent. I have an alert set down here. If this breakout does fail, I'll reconsider. I'm comfortable letting this kind of run. I think this is going to develop nicely, and interested to see where this goes. So I'm going to put an alert up here too. Maybe even one at 0.1. Yes, those are the alt setups of the day. Let me wrap this up real quick with Bitcoin. This one's already running a little bit long. And Bitcoin's falling now back to the back of this channel, bottom of this channel, I should say, not the back. So this is going to be an interesting test here. See if we can break through this shorter term channel. If it does, I'm watching this fib really closely. This is a pretty major range for me, just because of how strong it was in the past or over the past 2 weeks. That's what I'm watching in Bitcoin, guys. I won't be surprised if we see a bigger correction, but it's surprising that we haven't already kind of seen a steeper move. So not surprised if it hangs around either. Overall, don't think it's a bad thing for alts. I think we still see alts outperform in the next days, or hopefully and quite possibly weeks to come. So that's all I have for you. I'll be in the Discord the rest of the day. Welcome if this was your first video. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you learned a few things. I hope you find these setups useful, and I hope we can make some Bitcoin over the next couple weeks, especially for you 1-monthers. I hope I hope everyone is learning it and also earning Bitcoin as well, because it's great when those two work out. That's all I got for you. Markets are starting to move nicely. Exciting time to be in crypto. Excited to be working with all you guys. I will see you live tomorrow. Yeah, have a good rest of the day.